I think with Brian Kelly it was different because like you did the impression that like he made when he first got there, right? And everyone kind of thought that was cringe. It really like he's trying to be someone he's not. And he's almost like got this imposter syndrome. And then as you saw, I mean, at least early on, they were kind of close, but they could never quite get over the hump to win the SEC or to get in the college football playoff.
Sounds familiar.
And one of the things that a lot of Notre Dame fans witnessed and saw is they always felt like there was more room for him to do more in recruiting and all that. Marcus Freeman has without a doubt proven that since he's taken over as head coach with the way he's grinded, the way he's recruited and built that roster at Notre Dame. For Brian Kelly, it's actually been the exact, opposite of what I think LSU fans were getting. Not only did it not get enough wins in the win column in comparison to Ed Orgeron or even Les Miles in their first 4 years, but also if you look at the recruiting rankings, like they legitimately taken a step back. If you go through the first 4 years of Brian Kelly's recruiting tenure, or I guess his 4 years it was at LSU, they were averaging about 8.5 as far as their team recruiting rankings. This is for high school student athletes. And again, it's you can't use NIL in the transfer portal because obviously Ed Orgeron, Les Miles didn't have that. But Ed Orgeron was averaged about 6. That was usually where his class was, if not higher. And in fact, he had classes that were in the top 5 over those 6 years in 4 of the 6. So they were actually above that. They only had really one down year. Les Miles, his last 6 years, he averaged it was like a little over 7, but same thing. He averaged more often than not a class that was like in the top 6, half that time. Brian Kelly's only had one top 5 class in the 4 years he's been there. Now, his transfer portal class was the best of any this offseason. But I'm always leery of like throwing that out there sometimes because it doesn't necessarily always equate to wins. It just means you bought enough players who are talented enough and have been proven enough. But, obviously the team they're leaving either doesn't have the funds to keep them or they don't want to pay them to keep them. Like, let's be real about that. Some of these teams are okay letting go of players that are asking for these astronomical numbers where other teams are saying like, we'll take that. That's a dire need for us. And we see this happen all the time in the NFL and free agency. Teams let a player go, someone else overpays, and the guy might have a good year or two, but he never usually equates to that contract. And that's what you're seeing at the college football level. That's what you're seeing from, LSU this year. Now, granted, their defense has been improved from what it was a year ago. They were god-awful last year. But it hasn't equated to them being a better team. And so to the point about money, like what I find most interesting, and I've talking to some different coaches and guys who have different feelings on this is, Philip Fulmer signed the first deal that was like $1 million per year to go coach at Tennessee. And I bet if you did a study on the timeline now for college football coaches since that point, and you did the 20 years, 30 years prior, you probably saw a lot more turnover because I think with these guys being paid more money, there's higher expectations. And with those higher expectations, when things don't work out, especially early on, or when you've got, this imposter syndrome where he says, something weird like that, or he's dancing with a recruit that he doesn't end up even signing, right, or he's chewing out his players, or he's getting cagey with the media. Like there's so many things that Brian Kelly has done over his time at LSU that led him not to be likable. Like as a Notre Dame alum and fan, obviously, and someone who is the day he literally left to say he could go win championships elsewhere and started a collective, like in 24 hours after that. Like the one thing I'd say that's the starkest contrast between Marcus Freeman and Brian Kelly is Marcus is incredibly likable. He's genuine and likable. Brian Kelly hasn't come off as either of those at any point. Neither genuine or likable. And I think when you don't have the success on the field and you obviously don't want to work at it and recruit the way your predecessors have, or even the guy who replaced you at Notre Dame has, it becomes really revealing. LSU is not devoid of talent. Nussmeier can play. They've got talent on that team. There's no doubt about it. They'll have some first-round picks. The head coach was the problem.